Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm going to be playing with the layered poinsettia tree small die of the month from Spellbinders. I did go ahead and in your package you do get this, but I went ahead and printed this out so that I would have a reference. I don't get the packaging like you do. So it's got all of the instructions as to how to create this super pretty card where we're going to be doing a layered up Christmas tree. So I've already die cut a bunch of things out. I'm pretty much sticking to the whole red and green theme, so we'll see how those look. And I discovered something after I cut out my second tree. So we've got this frame die that cuts out our Christmas tree shape, and then we've got this inlay piece that I was thinking was embossing some lines in, but it actually cuts out pieces for you to layer up, so you don't actually have to line it up inside the tree. But it does give you an idea. If you do cut it out like I did, it does give you a reference to know exactly where everything layers up on your background tree. So I want to have a little bit of dimension, and to be honest, these little guys, it's going to be pretty much impossible for me to add foam to the back, so I'm not even going to attempt it. I've cut out instead multiples of each of these shapes. It's basically running this one die through a few different times. Right now I've got 3 layers. I may decide to do more. Haven't decided yet, but I'm going to use some artist tack this time, and I've decided I'm going to put the lightest color on top. Get rid of a couple of these extra little bits that are still hanging on in there. So I'll layer it up, and if those bits are still in the darker color, it'll just show through a little bit. I'm just going to lay this down on my artist tack, and I'm just going to do 2 of them because I want, I want to have the last one I want to glue down separate. So let's go ahead and just add these onto my artist tack. Do the same thing with the other ones, because we've got 4 different arrangements for all of our fun pieces to add onto the tree. Okay, that one's not going to pop out, so let me just add that there. Grab one of the darker greens, and I'm using this side of my paper on my artist tack because this side's already been used before and doesn't have a lot of stick left on it. I want to make sure that these are nice and sticky so they hold together well. Okay, one more, and then we've got the little guys there still left. And then what you do is you put the release paper that you just took off, you put that right back on, and you burnish everything down. I haven't used a lot of artist tack, but it is, when you're doing a bunch of little die cuts like this, it does make it a lot quicker for you to be able to glue everything together. So now we've got lots of little sticky dots on the back. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the last one that I left as it was, and just line up all the pieces. So you've got a perfect layer, and then I'll get that light green one and put that one up on the top. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my other ones, and then I'll have a layered up piece that's going to give me a little dimension on my tree. So now I'm going to start layering up some of my foliage. Starting off with one of these little flowers that I've got in 2 different shades of red. I've got one as the backing piece and then one for the topper. And just going to layer those up. And then those go on this piece. So I'm basically just filling in this one little swag we've got here. And there are a few little berries, or I don't know if they're actually berries, but that's what they look like to me. But there's little circles that we cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue to each of those. And just add one of these little circles over the top. Just like that. And that little piece is done. So we're going to do the same thing for the rest of these, including the poinsettias and all of that. All of the pieces are there, and the little diagram that comes with it shows you exactly where everything's supposed to go. So now I'm going to start putting my tree together. I've got some removable adhesive that I'm going to put on this piece that we die cut everything out of and try sticking that down just to give me an idea of where everything needs to go. I'm just going to line that up on my tree and gently press it down. And now it's given me all of the little windows, the little holes where I can go ahead and start adding this in. So I adjusted the light because it looked like we weren't really able to see too much, but now you can see where all of the wells are. And I'm going to add my glue directly onto the card and then add this down. And that way, hopefully I will not be adhering anything to this frame piece. I want it to just go down onto my cardstock, onto that tree that's behind it. Okay, and I basically need to just make sure that the big pieces are sticking down well. I mean, if the smaller ones aren't, I can always go back in and add a little bit more glue. So I'm just adding some glue down in all of these holes, and then just add my little piece down in that well. There we go. I'm just going to do that with all of my little pieces that I've got. And then, before anything really has a chance to stick too much, I'm going to remove that guide. The only reason I'm doing this before it adheres down is because last time I tried this, I glued the guide down too, and I don't want the guide to be glued in place. There we go. And you can tell I had my guide a little bit crooked because there's a little bit extra clear up here, and up at the top it's hanging off a little bit, but that I think is totally fine. So now I'm going to go back in and add a little bit more adhesive to any of the pieces that aren't adhered down well enough and put a weight on it to let this dry fully. So now I'm going to add a little star to the top of my little tree. There we go, right about there. And I'm going to put this on a black background. So I'm going to kind of center that right there. But what I'm also wanting to do is I want to make this a light up card. So got a pencil. So what I'm going to do is right about in the center, right behind where my star is, I'm just putting a little dot, and I'm going to poke a hole right through there. And now I can position my light right behind it. So just like that. And I'm also putting it so that the battery can come out through the top. So I'm actually positioning this with the button off to the left-hand side so that so if the recipient wants to and they play with it too much, they can always replace the battery. So let me make sure I've got everything where I want it. And I may need to have it down a little bit. Let's see how that one looks. It's not quite bright enough, so I am going to move my light down just a touch. And that is because I want it to, I want the battery pack to be hidden, but I need it to be behind, pretty much behind where the star is. But if it's a little bit low, that is totally fine too. So the tree is just a little bit tall for what I'm wanting to do, but it's going to look cute. Okay, I want it to be just below there. There we go. So right there is where I want my hole. So we'll try that again. I'm going to temporarily tape this down so that I can see exactly where it is in place. Now, I'm one of those people that I like to test and retest and make sure everything is the way that I want it to be before I do the final job. Actually, looks like I've got this a little bit off. Let me move it over just a little bit more. And it looks like I could actually go with a bit bigger of a hole. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to use my crocodile and punch the hole a little bigger. As long as it's not bigger than my star, I'm going to be fine. There we go. But that's going to let a little bit more light come through. And that is going to be perfect. Fantastic. So now what I need to do is I need to mark where my button's going to be so I can stamp on here a little message saying this is where you're supposed to push. So let me tape this back in place one more time. Make sure everything is right where I want it. And right here is the button. And I can erase that pencil mark when I get done. So I'm putting down a little bit of anti-static powder and I'm going to stamp in Hero Art's white pigment ink. This is the Unicorn White. Now my ink pad is not really all that juicy anymore. So this is not going to be real bold. I'm also going to be covering it in clear embossing powder. So in my mind, it should be just a little bit. It shouldn't be too, it should be, I don't even know what the word is. Words are hard, guys. Sorry about that. It should be unobtrusive. That's what I was trying to say. So let me go ahead and cover that in some clear embossing powder. And we'll heat that up. So it's still there. It's still there. It's still white, but it's a little bit muted. If I went over this with white embossing powder, it would stand out a lot more, but I want the focal point to be the tree. I want that to be what folks are looking at. And then, you know, when they see, oh, there's a button here, they'll go ahead and push it and they'll have a pleasant little surprise by the star lighting up. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down onto my card at this point, and then we will finish assembling our light up mechanism. Do need to make sure that my star is over that little hole that we've got there. And I do want it centered in the front of my card. So it looks like, that looks like it's about right. Okay, great. So now we've got the front of our card done. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab out some of the World's Best foam tape from, looking for one that is open. Which one's open? This is the World's Best foam tape from Pear Blossom Press, and it is the perfect thickness to use for these cards. This is the one that's open. And I like it enough, I went ahead and ordered a couple extra. So as I'm working my way down, I'm going to be making more light up cards, guys. These are so fun. And I couldn't resist it with that little star on top. So this is my first light up card for the 2023 Christmas season. Okay, so we're going to put our little light back where we had it. Right, we're going to double check, make sure everything is as it's supposed to be. Before I do that, let me add some double stick tape to the back of this. I'm also going to show you guys a little trick for when you're sending these through the mail. You just need a little piece of cardstock. For now, I'm just going to use this black one. And you want to put it inside where the mechanism is. This is probably not wide enough, but we'll see. If it works, then pressing the button will not let the light light up. Right now, I do need to see the light though, in order to get it in place, right? But because I've got this position so I can take the battery out, that's going to make it so this is going to work great for me. Okay. Does look like I've got my tree a little bit crooked, so I am going to reposition it because I want my star to be right in the middle there. And the glue has not adhered fully yet. Okay, now it's where I want it. And the glue that I'm using is art glitter glue, and it does dry clear and matte, so we're going to be covered on that part too. Now we're going to want to use some of this foam tape. We're going to basically need to make sure that, first off, everything needs to be able to stay in place. We always do that. But this is also going to make it so that when we adhere everything down to our card panel, that you don't really notice that there is a little battery pack thing right there. And this foam is the perfect thickness for this. There we go. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and take all of the release paper off. That's another thing that's awesome about this tape. First, it is the right thickness. Perfect thickness for our little battery pack here. Second, the release paper comes off super easy. And third, which is the absolute most important thing on the whole thing, is that it is repositionable. So if I mess up placing it down onto my card, I've got a full half hour that it can be repositioned before it becomes permanent. It basically becomes permanent overnight. So I do want to use the sentiment also, so let me go ahead and die cut that little bit out. Okay, so we'll just add that little flag right up there to the top that says joy. And that is going to finish up our pretty light up poinsettia tree. I think this turned out super cute. You guys be sure to check out this playlist to see more videos where I'm making cards and things using Spellbinders products. And this is basically, I think this is what, my second Christmas in July video. Be sure to stay tuned for more Christmassy goodness. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye guys.